Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Week 13, Philadelphia Eagles, Baltimore Ravens game is set to go down, folks. You know what that means. It's time to talk about it.
Fasten your seatbelts for the realest Eagles and Sixers YouTuber! One who plays no clickbait and gets to the point! The myth, the legend, Nicky Steves! Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy, always keeps things real. I'm simply statue, think they slate, dropping unrealistic man, 2K takes for the clip. Even though cats like that get views closer to the millie, never hear me preach, flip on to Philly. Before you watch the Eagles all the way through the early 22, authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy, always keeps things real. The 24/7, 365 way, sports content for the reals that feels like day.
Happy Saturday afternoon, folks. I hope you're having a great Saturday to kind of wind down your Thanksgiving weekend because this kind of is like the last day. Sunday's the wind down day from the Thanksgiving weekend. But I hope you're enjoying your weekend wherever you're at, whether you're sitting at home, spending time with family, checking out college football, wherever you're at. I hope you're having a great Small Business Saturday. That's right, folks. It is Small Business Saturday, so you have the chance to support local business. Get out and do so. With that being said, let's get into the main subject here. We're here to talk Philadelphia Eagles football, folks. Let's get into it. We got a big matchup coming up. It's the Eagles versus the Ravens, 4:25 Eastern Standard Time. Eagles are on the road for this matchup. Man, I'll tell you, man, we come in here every week. It seems like we've had some games. Like the last two games, we had the Rams last week and the Commanders before that on Thursday night. Those games looked like they'd be tough games on paper. They test how far the Eagles team really came during that winning streak following the bye. Because we got to remember, the Eagles following the bye had a easier schedule until the Commanders game. We won that game, passed the first test, beat the Rams, who were still a respectable team despite their record. And now we got the Baltimore Ravens. And yes, that means correct. The Ravens are minus 3-point favorites versus the Eagles in this matchup. I mean, to be fair, it is at their home stadium, and when we look at the schedule, this is the toughest test the Eagles have faced thus far this season. So, to be fair, I understand why the odds are in favor of the Ravens. I mean, the Eagles, hell, and we've been on a nice little run ourselves, nice little tear, winning games. We start off 2-2. We're now on a 7-game winning streak. And hey, we did prove ourselves last week against the Rams, but now we got the Baltimore Ravens, who, with all due respect to the Los Angeles Rams, are a much better team, and they are one of the top teams in the AFC. So that means it's going to be a tough matchup. However, the Eagles can still get it done. What we're going to do in this show is going to talk about it a little bit. We're going to go through the depth charts. We're going to go through the key matchups. We're going to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the Ravens. And we're going to talk about ways the Eagles can find a way to pull off the upset and shock the world and pull off this victory over the Ravens, who are the 3-point favorites. So without any further ado, we have 1 second to share this with my YouTube community. Let them know we're live. And then we going to we're going to talk about it. Second. But yeah, don't you? With that being said, though, I'm just gonna say, don't you like this matchup, man? I mean, just from a football fan standpoint, it's a good game. Even I'm sure any non-biased fan that just likes good football is probably going to be looking forward to this game tomorrow. Because I know some people that are for my job, Cardinals fan, a Chargers fan. Some of them are just looking forward to this game. They don't have a dog in the race, but they just think this. They just want a good game out of it. So this is obviously an exciting matchup just from a football fan standpoint. Like I said, if you're a fan of another team that like even like a Packers or a Saints and you just like good football, regardless of who your team is, this is going to be the matchup for you between the Eagles and Ravens. But let's get into it. Man, we going because this is going to be a good matchup. You got Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. You got literally a sense of the number 1 and 2 running backs. Lamar, you got on Baltimore Ravens side, Derrick Henry, Eagles side, Saquon Barkley. Saquon has a slight edge in Derrick Henry for rushing yards, but this is, in that sense, the 1 versus 2 battle. And we're going to take a look at the depth charts for this one because both teams are going into this matchup relatively healthy with most of their main guys. Eagles do have one question mark, which I'm sure most of you guys already know who that is, but we're going to get into it. The Eagles, let's take a look. You got Jalen, Saquon, AJ. Smitty is questionable. We're not sure about that. Like I said, we got Britton Covey back last week. Got Dallas Goedert, Jordan Mailata. Our whole offensive line looks healthy. On the defensive side, Darius Slay has been confirmed to be out. Isaiah Rodgers is going to get an opportunity to play and prove himself. Arku, this is probably the best game of the weekend. Now you see, that just ties into what I said earlier, Arku. I was saying that there were some people from my job who were fans of neither team that are just looking forward to a good game. And here you got Arku as a Cowboys fan. It's just saying objectively, this is a good game. So thanks, Ark. So thanks for pointing that out. That ties to my point that this is just in general a good game. And but that's like I was saying, Slay's out. That's the big concern for the Eagles on that front because. But that I've been pointing out with Slay. This is why I think we should move on because not to get off subject because Slay's been in and out of the lineup this season. I feel like he's just gotten up there in age now, and it's time to move on. But now it's time to give Isaiah Rodgers the opportunity to prove himself. And for the Ravens standpoint, we're gonna take a look at their depth chart. They look most part healthy. You got, Lamar, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar. He might get some playing time. They might try to throw a few looks his way. I mean, the kind of a revenge factor, but that's only from a fan perspective. Rashad Bateman, Deontay Johnson, Mark Andrews, Pritchard, mostly healthy, as you see. The only guys missing are Deontay Harty and Charlie Kohler, both, got one IR, one out. On the defensive side of the ball, Kyle Van Noy is doubtful for tomorrow's game. You got Malik Ham on IR. You got Trayvon Mullen on IR. TJ Tampa IR. Christian Matthew IR. Arthur Mollett out. Michael Pierce on IR. This is so the Ravens are mostly healthy for this matchup. So you got two teams that got most of their best weapons. You got Arku, 6 p.m. Central Time. Wait, sure is that 6 or is that 2? Because it might be 2 p.m. because I think we're ahead of you by like an hour or 2 hours, correct? Because I'm on the East Coast. I think that would be but don't get. Hey, well, the Thunder did beat the Lakers, though. Hey, you did get that. Your Thunder beat the Lakers, yes. Wait, did they beat the Lakers? Let me check. Hold on. Let me check. They were beating them. Let me double check. Sorry, I'm getting off subject for a second here, guys, but I'll get right back to the game in just a second. Oh, yeah, you guys did beat the Lakers. Yeah. Okay, so yeah. Hi, Grega. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, Thunder game at 6. Gotcha. Okay, cool. But yeah, so now we're back on subject with the Eagles game. So shout out to our Coos Thunder there. We're back on subject with the Birds. Now, let's talk. Now we're going to go through some of the key matchups. And I decide for this one, I think Greg is dropping his score prediction early. Eagles 31-24. Little G Griffin, 31-20. We got two score predictions. We're predicting the Eagles to drop 31 on the Ravens, but we'll get to that later. But first, I'm going to get to the key matchups that are going to play a factor in the outcome of this game. We did get a little bit of help from NBC Sports Philadelphia this time around, so I'm going to share the screen with you guys, give them credit. So I'm just going to kind of scroll down the list of these matchups and decide which ones I feel are important out of the matchups they put together. Eagles run D versus Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. Obviously, Derrick Henry versus the Eagles run defense is the main one, because we know since the Derrick Henry Saquon Barkley show as far as dominant running backs in the NFL, and what just happens this weekend, week 13, their two teams play. Derrick Henry's team with the Ravens and Saquon's team with the Eagles. But now you got the Eagles, who have gotten better as a run defense here. The Eagles have the best rushing offense, 193 yards, and Ravens are second at 180. Yep. Well, that ties into the whole running back matchup there. Right. Henry's averaging 3.9 yards after contact and 2 yards over expected rush. Yeah, but that's the key thing right there. Derrick Henry, the difference between Saquon and Henry. Saquon's a smaller but speedy back who has the speed. With Derrick Henry being the physical back, with that muscular physique, he can take the hits and get yards after contact. That's what makes him a tough go in this matchup, because that's the biggest difference. Sure, Saquon's naturally faster, but Derrick Henry's size gives him the advantage to be able to endure the hits and be able to continue running after contact for a few extra yards. Because the Eagles, it'd be interesting to see how the Eagles handle the Ravens, because they have loaded the box at the 7th lowest rate in the NFL this season, while the Ravens have the 4th highest loaded box, even though Henry is doing a lot of damage on the outside. But yeah, well, we'll get more into the Eagles later with sacks. But for this matchup, so far we've seen the Eagles do a relatively solid job against the run game. But here's the thing, Greg. And this whole season, Kansas City's been riding a big wave of luck throughout the entire season. I feel like you would think it's a matter of time before it catches up to them, like the Eagles, because the Eagles were riding luck through the first 3 months of the season, then at the end, collapse. You kind of got a feeling it might happen with Kansas City, but the difference is KC is off 2 back-to-back Super Bowl wins, so it's hard to not give them the benefit of the doubt because of that. But yeah, so far they have been playing like a lucky team. And you got to wonder, will that luck run out? You think it would, but being a 2-time Super Bowl champion, 3 Super Bowl wins in the past 5 years, 4 Super Bowl appearances, it's kind of hard to bet against them, though, too. So I get where you're coming from, but when you have that cachet like the Chiefs have had, it's hard to bet against them. So yeah, so far they have been lucky, but kind of got lucky last year. The way things were going, it was looking shaky. Then all of a sudden, come playoff time, they got everything right. So gotta wonder, mate. We'll see though about that one. But the Eagles, man, this is going to be tough right here, because the Eagles get Derrick Henry. This is going to be the biggest test, see how far that Eagles run defense has come along. And we did decent against Washington, but now you got to go against Derrick Henry, and you got Lamar Jackson to contain too. That's what makes the Ravens such a dangerous run team. You got Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, who can both run. And we know the Ravens, when they get hot, can light up the scoreboard. Ask the Buffalo Bills, ask the Cincinnati Bengals twice about it both times. Those are 2 teams to ask about how Baltimore can light up a scoreboard on you. And then you get the Eagles' pass defense, obviously going against Lamar, because we like to talk about Lamar's running game, and he has that similar style to Michael Vick. But it's kind of funny, because I made a video earlier this week, Greg, you remember, because you comment on it, saying that I said that Lamar is a better quarterback than Michael Vick. One of my comments I made in support of my argument was that Lamar Jackson has consistently had close to 30 touchdown passes, sometimes over 30 touchdown passes a season, which passing wise is better than Michael Vick at his peak. And this season he has 27. I pointed that one out. So now you get in, but that ties in the next matchup, the Eagles pass defense versus Lamar. Remember, just because Lamar's known for his speed doesn't mean he can't throw the ball. He's thrown 27 this year, threw 24 last year, 36 MVP season, and he's got his top targets of Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, even Isaiah Likely, and Nelson Aguilar. He might get a little bit involved, but still, he has those main targets right there: Flowers, Bateman, Andrews, even Likely from time to time. So the point being is, don't underestimate Lamar's ability in the pass game. So now that ties to the Eagles. Like you said, Darius Slay will be out of this game, so it's up to, as the article says, Quinyon Mitchell and then Isaiah Rodgers, who will have to take big play Slay's spot. With that being said, while we're at it for you guys, I'm going to share the link to the article. If you guys want to follow along with it, feel free to do so. There's a link to it in the chat. You can copy and paste it into onto your screen, your phone, in a separate tab, whatever the case may be, if you want to follow along. But yeah, the pass defense, that's another key matchup. Nolan Smith versus Roger Rosengard. I mean, but that ties more into the bigger matchup, which is the Eagles' defensive line versus the Ravens' offensive line. This Eagles' defensive line is going to have to find a way to get through their offensive line and at least try to have a chance of getting to Lamar. Because I look at, for example, you know what I was looking at the Steelers-Ravens game from a few weeks ago. I decided to look into the matchup, look at the score. I decided to look at the matchup, see what the Steelers did. Because the Steelers held the Ravens to only 16 points. So I decided to look at that, see how they did. I noticed, so I looked at them, like, 2 sacks. They only got 2 sacks on, but they did force a couple fumbles and they got an interception. So one of the keys the Steelers did to beating the Ravens is they were able to get turnovers. And that's going to tie into keys to victory. Some Eagles, if they can at least find a way to get some pressure up front, you could maybe get some fumbles, maybe try to go yard for the ball loose. If Lamar, like I say, you bring the heat, Lamar is able to get away. Force a fumble or two. I mean, that's one thing, but we got to be able to do that. But yeah, the Eagles' defensive line, they have to at least get to Lamar a little bit. Try to make him move around the pocket. Maybe force him to run only for 3 or 4 yards, worst case, at minimum on some plays. Maybe force him to throw the ball away or something. Try to get some pressure on Lamar Jackson if you can. You got to get something on him. Salute A, straight to the point sports and entertainment, who stopped by last week on my talk about the Sixers locker room drama. Thanks for stopping by again. Hope you're having a great Thanksgiving weekend, a great Saturday. Thanks for stopping by again. And then we get to the other key matchup. Of course, obviously, Saquon versus the run defense. Obviously, that's a big matchup because we know on our side, it's our run defense stopping and going against Derrick Henry. Now, on the flip side, hey, we got Saquon Barkley. We need to be able to move, obviously, run with him because he's going to be he's been the key component to our offense all season long. All season long, because I've argued that Saquon is a stronger case for MVP than Jalen Hurts, because if you take away Saquon, would we really be 9-2? We could possibly be talking about 7-4, 6-5, maybe without Saquon if we were stuck with DeAndre Swift again, or we drafted a running back in the first round. Us getting Saquon during free agency was the best move we made. He's helped us win a lot of games on the offensive side. Did so last week against the Rams. He had a good game against the Commanders. He's throughout the season helped us out. He helped us out week 1 in Brazil against the Packers. So there's 3 games he played a key factor in helping us win. And so Saquon, obviously, again, he's going to have to do something else. So he's going to have to come through a big game again. But the Ravens do have the number 2 ranked run defense, and they've only given up on average 3.5 per carry. So that's a big factor we got to consider. And remember, Saquon against the Browns didn't have the greatest game in the world. So it is possible this Ravens run defense could contain him. It is possible. So that's why it's important that Saquon brings his A game tomorrow and dominates the way he has all season. And then another interesting matchup in the passing game, you got AJ Brown versus Nate Wiggins. Because Nate Wiggins, who I wasn't thinking of as a potential candidate around the draft time. We ended up drafting Quinyon Mitchell, but I was thinking about Nate Wiggins as another potential option. So far this season, Nate Wiggins has been solid thus far. He's been doing a good job as a rookie too. But AJ Brown, I trust AJ Brown. He's one of those receivers. Now that when he went from Tennessee, where he had a serviceable quarterback in Ryan Tannehill, to this Eagles team with Jalen Hurts, who's a better quarterback than Tannehill, with a better offensive system, you've just seen how, well, you've seen his game, AJ Brown, go from good to one of the top receivers in the league with the Eagles. And I trust AJ Brown to get it done again. He had an excellent game last week. He's helped us out throughout the season. We saw when we didn't have AJ how sluggish this offense was. And now with AJ Brown, again, we remember Falcons, Saints, Bucks. Those games did not look like good games without AJ Brown. But when he's in the offense, he gives our passing game a much needed spark, especially with it being likely that Devontae Smith will be out because he is questionable. We're going to need AJ Brown to step up. And another key matchup we got to watch out for is we got to watch against the Ravens defensive line, because I looked into it. I studied them, went through NFL, through the ESPN website. Ravens defense has recorded 39 sacks this season. The troubling fact is Jalen Hurts has been sacked 29 times. That is the toughest matchup for the Eagles in this game. That Ravens defensive line possibly getting to Jalen Hurts, who's been prone to giving up sacks this season. He's given up 29. So that's something we're going to have to watch out for in this one. And that's why I feel like it's important we get some. We don't be surprised if we see some more plays directed with the intention for Hurts to run. Don't be see if we see some running back draws, a few RPOs where you try to get rid of the ball quickly on a screen to AJ Brown, let him do the rest. Try to get a screen to Saquon in, run the ball with Saquon. Don't be surprised if we start seeing more of that through the Eagles' game plan to try to keep the ball out of Hurts' hand quickly to reduce the risk of him getting sacked. That's something we got to watch out. So that's something, to me, that's the scariest matchup in this game for the Eagles, is that Ravens defensive line. Because they know how to get to the quarterback. They're led by, so we got Adifa Owe, 8 sacks. Kyle Van Noy, 8, tied. Now, Van Noy is likely going to miss tomorrow's game, so that takes some of the pressure off. Then you still got Namni Madbuki with 5, if I'm pronouncing that right. But now it's important that we still got Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson on the flip side. Those guys got to be able to step up and keep this Ravens defensive line in check. So this is the games where Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata are needed most. And we also need Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens to step up. Dickerson had a little bit of a sluggish game. He wasn't all the way there mentally. He had a few mistakes with penalties. We can't have that this week. This week, he's got to be on point. And those are, to me, most of the key matchups. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back, folks. Now we're gonna get into the main part of this. The Philadelphia Eagles keys to victory against the Baltimore Ravens. We went through the main matchup. Now it's time to break down the keys to victory. One of those, because this is a matchup where you got two high-powered offenses, two teams that can score efficiently. One of those keys to me is effectively is to have some long drives on offense. Because if you go down, take your time, one play at a time, go down the field, get yourself touchdowns. Worst case scenario, you get field goals. But either way, you get those long drives down the field where you score points. That is a key. That's important because you take time off the clock, you minimize the Ravens' ability to get on the field, and you get if you can do get take advantage of those long drives and score touchdowns, that gives you better odds of being able to be ahead when the game's all set and done. I mean, that's obviously not the only component, but that is one component. Start those long drives, try to keep their offense off the field, wear down that Ravens defense by staying on the field. And over time, what that can do throughout the game is wear down the pass rush. And once you wear down the pass rush, that creates more holes in the passing game, as well as the run. The run always does an excellent job opening holes in the passing game, as well as long drives also do an excellent job setting it up. So that's one key to victory. Another key to victory, this is going to come on the defensive side of the ball. Going off what the Steelers did to hold the Ravens to only 16 points, force turnovers. The Steelers were able to force 3 turnovers against the Ravens. They got 2 fumbles, and they also got an interception out of it, which that goes to show you right there that, hey, you get turnovers, you force them to make mistakes, that'll help you do what you need to do to get, to keep the Ravens offense in check. So if you can go down the field, get some long drives, we'll take time off the clock, wear down the Ravens defense. Then on top of that, get a few turnovers throughout the game. You reduce the odds that the Ravens score some points. Take note from the Steelers, the 2 fumbles interception helped keep the Ravens to only 16 points. If you can do that, then you have a good shot winning this game. Sacks, it's going to be kind of hard to get to Lamar Jackson because he's only been dropped 16 times. And even the Steelers in that win over the Ravens only got 2 sacks. But those turnovers are a key factor. And I point to that as a blueprint that the Eagles can take note from. And also in this matchup, we start hot, get some points early in the first half, kind of like we did against the Rams last week. That'll also help us out in this game as well. If we can get some turnovers, maybe get, a few sacks. Maybe get as long as gets turned. Maybe, we get off to a hot start. Maybe get 6 points in the first quarter, 2 field goals, or we get a touchdown, a long drive, something. Get us off to a hot start. Get some points going, basically. Whatever it may be, something. Even if you have to settle for 2 drives, 2 field goals, and the Ravens get a touchdown out of it. Okay, you're at least doing something to keep you in the game, which can help you later on in the second half into the fourth quarter. So it's important we get off to a hot start. That helped us out on last week against the Rams. We got 13 in the first half. Then the second half, we really got hot, and we were able to score close to 40 on the Rams. So if we can get off to a hot start in this one, that's going to help us out big time in this matchup, sir. It's going to help us out big time. And then another key to victory is, don't force, keep the mistakes to a minimum. Don't turn the ball over. That's always an important key to victory. And last but not least, you don't turn, rely off the run to set up the pass. It's always worked for us. If it ain't broke, don't change it. It's that simple. So those are my main keys to victory, which are, have long offensive drives, force some turnovers, start hot, get some points early, because that can come in handy in the second half. And then on top of that, don't want to turn the ball over yourself. And last but not least, you want to be able, on top of it, you want to be able to, rely off what's worked well for you, which is the run game. Don't, if it ain't broke, don't change it mentality. So those are my 5 keys to victory there. with that being said, that's all I got to say for now. So if the Eagles can do that, they can find a way to win. But at the same time, like, I gotta ask myself, will they do it though? That's the key question. Will they do it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the Eagles are going to be able to do it. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough game either way. I'm not saying they can't win, but will they be able to follow through on all that? I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup. I think it's going to be a close game. I mean, but I'll say I see the Eagles possibly winning this matchup by a score of 30-27. If all things pan out. I mean, so we will have to ultimately see what happens. So that's my score prediction. Those are my keys to victory, the key matchups to look out for. We'll ultimately see what happens. Then we'll come back. We'll talk about it. Do the post-game recap Monday at noon. So I'll catch you guys then Monday at noon for a post-game recap. And we'll talk about it more then. So with that being said, I want to thank everyone that stopped by for this stream. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you're having a great Saturday or great Sunday, whatever time you're catching this. Enjoy the rest of your day or night. If you haven't done so already, make sure to drop a like, subscribe. We're going to share this thing out, put this thing up to Spotify. When it's ready, I'll share it via my community tab. So thanks to everyone that stopped by. Gregor John, Arku, Straight to the Point Sports Entertainment. Thanks for your support. Hope you guys enjoy. That being said, fly Eagles fly. Till next time, your boy Nicky Stees signing.